Hey, Bloodworth here. This segment is cut out from the Easy Allies podcast, which we record every week. You can catch full episodes on Sunday mornings, or if you become a patron at $5 and up, you can get early access and get those on Fridays. Thank you and enjoy. Damiani, Huber, you've been playing Final Fantasy XVI, the Rising Tide DLC.
Yep.
Yeah, give me some thoughts. I don't have any notes on this. It's all you guys.
So you also completed Echoes of the Fallen, because I'm extremely curious to talk to someone who played them in the reverse order, if that's possible. Because it clearly acts like you have done Echoes of the Fallen before you do. And like, there's something crucial in the Rising Tide. And I'm like, wait, can you even do this after? Because like, this explanation needs part of like Echoes of the Fallen to be known. Otherwise, are they going to omit lines from, like, anyway, it was just like it was very intriguing to figure out, because I know your criticism, Huber, about these run concurrently to the main quest. And it is a bit of a bummer to think people who like are waiting for the PC version. I mean, it's good for them, but bummer for someone like us who's like, man, playing that way, it was going to be pretty interesting. Although there's some spoiler discussion territory we're going to get into in terms of like end game stuff. They didn't change anything about the end, but now people are debating like some things about the end in this, but whatever. The point is though that this feels like a little bit like this could have maybe been part of the game, and they ran out of time because of where it takes place. Is a big portion of like the northern part of the map that you just never go to in the main game. So it's very cool that we get to go there, but I could definitely see how some people feel like, man, was this supposed to be part of the original game? I don't know. I know they said it wasn't, and this is something they worked on after, but I can definitely see how some people might look at it and be like, this seems maybe like it should have been there. Quality wise, holy shit.
So good.
If you're talking about difficulty,
Okay.
yeah, get ready. Like,
Huber's talked a lot about difficulty.
Easiest game of all time.
On normal difficulty, Leviathan is there to kick your ass. And like, I'm just love seeing. I failed a DPS check, and then there's a AOE sequence. I was like kicking my ass because I wasn't taught to jump and dodge in this game as in icon form very often. I'm like, because you're usually either floating in all the other icon battles, or you can just like do your regular dodge. And people in chat, I streamed all this. People in chat were very nice and said like, just jump and dodge. I'm like, oh my God, here we go again. I was like, I pulled out the 14 defense card. I'm like, you can jump in 14, but jumping does not prevent you from getting any AoE damage. I'm sorry. Same team. I was trained not to do this, but it's punishing you and making you think in different ways maybe. And also it's definitely more difficult.
That's encouraging because so many of the bosses, even in the other DLC, are just DPS checks. It's like, okay, use all of your icon abilities when the cooldown is up, do a couple dodges, and that's just every combat encounter, Damiani.
No, and you can't outgear this because it's an icon fight. You don't bring in your gear, you don't bring in your weapons, accessories, none of that works. You are in there, and it's like you must use the skills they have given, like the Ifrit skills that you have and you've used before. There are fights leading up to it. There's like a whole dungeon sequence, fantastic theme for a dungeon. Like, you know, you've seen the area of Mysidia. If you've seen some of the photographs, you see like something on top of a hill encased in like a giant looking blue sphere. I won't say any more, but like the theming of the dungeon was freaking fantastic to like just walk through. And those mini boss fights, or like the dungeon boss, like they were like, the animations were just like, this game's already been insane and they're just doing more insane looking stuff. And in the mechanic complexity was like, felt very rewarding, and how it advanced, like the boss of that dungeon, I was like, okay, I get it. And then like the last like 1/5 of its health, it starts going nuts, and I'm like, oh my God, there's like no downtime. I'm like, shit, where do I attack? I was like, and this is like normal, and I'm like, I'm using a lot of potions here, holy shit. And like, I spent time before the DLC going back into the training mode area, relearning my icon burst. So like when they're fully staggered, there's a meta build that I was like using, that I was like, let me get this timing back down. Meta build? And then I was like, hell yeah, let's go again. Let's go. Like, dude, yeah, like you,
it's unnecessary.
dude, it was like fun to use. But even with that damage, yeah, it wasn't like you don't like just get one stagger and then destroy the boss. It's like, oh, it survived that burst. So I was like, even with like a offensive DPS pot, I was like, I popped the strength pot. I was like, yo, this thing's got a lot of health. But like,
forgot about those, the strength pots.
Yeah, you have the defense, the stone skin one, and the strength one. Yeah. So like these are meant, and you're going in this with like if you especially played Echoes of Fallen, you've got god tier gear. Like Echoes of Fallen gave you even better gear and better accessories than you could even get in the base game.
The level cap of that was 55. What's this, Damiani? 60?
You now can get up to 60.
Okay.
But like I was only like level 49. I think it was only level 50 going into this.
Yeah, same.
And I'm 50. I'm 52 when I'm done, and I'm at level 52. I've not done Final Fantasy mode, but I'm a little bit more. I think I'm interested to see how it plays on Final Fantasy mode because again, the Leviathan fight you can't outgear anything, so I think that one might be a little bit more challenging. But I think everything leading up to it might not be because I have like everything maxed out. Because I have two save files. I have like a normal save file that's still in the normal and not a new game plus that's at the end of the game. And then I have my Final Fantasy mode, which carried over everything from that first playthrough finish, and everything like all the abilities are powered up and you get like better gear in Final Fantasy mode as well. And it's got that also has a higher level cap now. But yeah, the music real quick.
Dude, being able to buy all those now, there's many songs you can buy.
They added the orchestrion roll, so there was a patch update that I didn't know dropped before this.
Really?
Because I was like, oh, this is all in there already. So most of the new orchestrion rolls were already available for vendors. The remainder ones you will get from the Rising Tide DLC when you unlock Mysidia and open the shop there. And that's cool.
So with the orchestrion rolls, do you still have to like spend like tens of thousands of dollars to get each one?
Yeah.
So I think I had 200,000 gil on my normal mode save file, or 220,000 gil. Buying I didn't even finish getting all the orchestrion rolls. I cleaned that up, like burnt through all of that. Right. But on my Final Fantasy mode, I have like nearly 3 million gil. I'm just like I'm not gonna have any gil problems in Final Fantasy mode. But they're like 5 to 8 to 12,000 gil a pop. But then the new Rising Tide ones are like 25,000 or 10. Like they're a little bit more pricey. So the old ones they added in are like just the remainder of like the soundtrack. I feel like Away is in there, Land of Icons, which is a perfect theme for the Hideaway. I immediately switched to that because it's such a good music for that. But I'm talking about like the actual like battle music.
Which one?
It's like the title screen music. It's kind of like the prelude, Land of Icons.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll look for it.
But I'm talking about like the new music in the Rising Tide because it's not technically new. And so for a while, there's been discussion about the original Final Fantasy XVI Awakening trailer, where the beginning of the trailer uses music that we've since seen in the game. But then when Ifrit rises in that trailer and this bombastic music kicks in, it's been nowhere. It has not been in the game. They finally put it in the game, and they use it, leitmotif it to death, because there's like a town version of it, a battle version of it, there's a very epic version of it, and they do remix it with you probably expect the song if you know what the Icon fight is and you know the team that makes this game and what else they make. There's a remix involving that, which was freaking fantastic as well. So yeah, the music was just like, hell yeah, like this is really great to hear this song finally used. It's sad that it was like for DLC because it's like one of the like best sounding like epic tracks and it just wasn't in the base game. The town.
That's probably why it didn't get nominated at the BAFTAs.
I saw people in chat were like not spamming, but bringing it up more than a few times. Like, how do you feel about it not getting even nominated for the BAFTAs? I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's a little surprising, but maybe I don't know. Like with their rules, they couldn't be eligible. But
yeah, I mean, there are definitely like weird like paperwork things with some of those awards where it's like, oh yeah, only certain members have to be, or like you have to spend, X amount of money to submit for each nomination, or I don't know. I don't know how the BAFTAs work. So, but those things happen in a lot of awards.
Yeah.
For sure.
It just feels like an extra chapter. So, everything's broken into chapters and you go into each like different like kind of like region for a while. This feels like another chapter. It's like the region isn't quite as big as any of the other like major regions, but it's like a decent size. You do have this town hub called Haven.
So cozy,
and
dude.
It's very jolly. You have a lot of NPCs there. You get quests there. I gotta criticize some of the side quests because one of the first side quests I got was literally my friend is lost out in the wild, which is like a quest you got in every single town in this game. And it's like they're either dead or they're alive and enemies have just swarmed around them and you're gonna go rescue them. I was like, okay, we really are gonna use this again? I was like, yeah, like, all right, I've seen this quest one too many times in this game.
Did you pick any flowers, Damiani?
Yes. There is. So for dyes, you have to. That's one of the first quests you pick. But you don't pick them. You literally just go up to 2 NPCs and they give you a basket of flowers.
Okay.
And then you use them to turn into the quest. There are hunts, but they're presented through side quests. You don't go to like a hunt board. They're presented after you finish the kind of like the base story of it, and it's like kind of like continuing your adventures through the DLC a little bit. So like you've seen the Tonberry King. He's one of those that you'll like be able to go fight. And Tonberries, oh man, they are freaking disturbing, man.
They look so sick.
And them charging at you with the knife when it's in Texas called knife, and it's like they just run at you, and it's like you don't dodge. The Tonberry King summons a bunch of them, and I was like, don't worry, I'll be able to dodge. I missed one dodge, boop, 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 but they just like chained me with like 10 hits, and I'm like, I'm almost like died. I'm like, okay, let's not do that again. But yeah, like they, a lot of like the other enemies were just like kind of like recolors of existing ones. So it looked nice. Like it fit the theme. It's like a tropical. I joked that this DLC's themes were the upcoming expansion for 14 Dawn Trail, because we're in this tropical island like area, even though it's like just part of the northern continent, and you go there by boat. So like, okay, it literally is like the opening of Dawn Trail. It mixes in The Last Airbender because you have the Leviathan dominant has been missing for 100 years and is frozen in ice and went like angry, went like Leviathan state, Avatar state, and like the Jin Shriki stuff from Naruto. It's like,
dude, it is the most. It's literally Naruto those. This time.
It's the three of those.
Because of the dominant.
Yes.
Because of the dominant.
I was like, they're max pandering here.
I was like, yes.
I liked Shula, the new like warrior. She's their tribe called the Moat of Water. They're mentioned before, so this is this like kind of like water tribe who migrated here, and they use like a glamour system using these crystals to make it look like they're a barren wasteland. But once you cross this barrier, it looks, beautiful. That's why there's a blue sky, because it's an illusion, because they didn't like looking at
like, isn't this Deadlands? Like what is going on with this tropical
Yeah, so it's like a giant barrier. It's basically like how they hide Wakanda in like the MCU. It's like it's just a giant barrier that just makes you think you're seeing something else. And yeah, once you get in there, I mean, it's like got good vibes. What else? Like there wasn't
even Ultima can't see through it.
Well, actually, yes, that might be one of the things. But yeah, it's about like 5-6 hours if you try and like do everything on normal, I would say. And then you need to, if you want to get all the trophies for this DLC, you will need to go through it one more time on Final.
Or do you feel like you wanted more?
It's not that I wanted more. I think it's more of the complaint. I think maybe Huber sides with me on this one, that I feel like I really wish I had this when I was playing through the main game. Like this would have been a nice complementary piece to everything I was doing. Added a little bit more length. Yeah.
Damiani, it's so hard to get all the way emotionally invested when like you're before the end of the game. So like, Ultima is still technically out there.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's just like hard to fully buy into the stakes when it's like, oh, but I already beat Ultima, but like not, because now we have to reload the game before that. So it just is a little
It also
harder.
makes me feel sort of like, I don't know, like you go back into that last boss fight and you whip out Leviathan and he's like, hey, Where'd that come from?
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. I don't know. I don't think cool. There's a new line for that either. Someone told me there isn't, because I was like, what is it? The baby cooing or something at that point? Like, 'cause that's the dominant. It's a little baby. So it's like, I will say that, I like, what did they say? They said like a few things. They said Jill was going to be featured more prominently, and like, while she tags along with you, this just further kind of hits home the point that I feel like after a certain point in the main game, she just falls to the wayside, and they really dropped the ball. Yeah, she's fighting alongside of you.
Dude, she said like 3 total lines.
And like, this is like going back to like the more Norse stuff. And like, she does have a little bit of like dialogue that's like specific to like her character background stuff, but it's I thought it was going to lead to something more. I was like, oh, here's the shift. This is going to become like a Jill thing now. And like, doesn't. It's just like, it's over before it even started. I was like, that's really it. I was like, okay, that's a bit of a bummer that they were kind of like teasing that this might have a little like, more Jill involvement, and it doesn't really, and it's kind of like a recurring issue in a good part of the game. We didn't talk about the Leviathan powers though, the icon abilities. It's a ranged theme, and they start you off. So you know how like the circle button on every icon is like just a default thing. Like the first one of the free, it's like gap closer, like teleports you. But like on Ramu, it's like the kingdom. It's like the king. Yeah, the grapple. Right. The Ramu is like the Kingdom Hearts shooting thing. Yeah, like Odin. It switches you to the sword. In this one, it's basically like a gun type mechanic where you can shoot out like a spread shot, or like a more like focused it's like a wave that like hits just outside of max melee range, like in like kind of like a conal shape, but you only like see the edge of the cone, like a little wave effect goes up, or it's just like water blast, like jet like blasts going out, and it's ammunition. So when you run out, you have to hit the reload button. And it's like a little mini game circle that if you hit it, the reload at the right time,
active reload, dude.
Yeah, nice. you get temporary unlimited ammo, and it fills. Even if you fail, you'll get your ammo back, but it gives you like unlimited ammo for a little while, so you can like spam it much faster. Then there is a wave ability that like collapses enemies, and like if they're outside your like range,
collapse the wave function?
It'll collapse them in front of you.
It'll collapse that wave function.
Basically, I mean, right theme, right? It like kind of like I didn't really use that too much. I actually wasn't a big fan of it because it was so ranged focused, and I liked getting in with like melee combos in this game. So it does have
like Bahamut was always the hardest one for me to really adjust to. Playstyle.
There's a few other abilities it has too, like this one where it puts like these water orbs, and if you time an input right, it like shoots out constant like water gun stuff at your enemies. It's a cool for people looking for a more ranged option. I guess it's nice that you have another icon power that kind of focuses on that. I tried it out it forces you to use it. In a battle. It's kind of funny. It says, this is the only icon power that is available right now. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I'm like, how am I going to switch to the menu? Is this a new mechanic? And like, no, you're just going to use this. And if you like it, I mean, I don't necessarily think anything was in this DLC was designed around that in mind, where you really need to encourages you to keep using it. I got by just fine using, as I said, the build that I was already using, which used like a bunch of different icon powers mixed together, which is kind of like the name of the game. You also, later on, outside of the DLC, once you've completed everything, you can get another icon power that was teased in the trailer. There's another set of abilities, and those are pretty cool. But if you haven't been like the final boss, maybe they will help you in that, because I think you cannot use these except in the final boss battle, because you have to beat this DLC to get them. Although I don't know if you carry over into a New Game Plus, if you can have them right like earlier. I don't know. I haven't tested it out, but yeah, they're pretty cool. I like that set a little bit more. Looked a little bit more fun. But yeah, I had a good time with it. I would say the Leviathan fight, while is definitely higher on the challenge side, it was like in between in terms of like spectacle. Like the opening of it was kind of nice, but then you're just like in a big circular arena with like Leviathan just like going around, and it's
I was
like
kind of actually wondering about that from the trailer. Yeah,
it's a little bit. I agree with people. It's a little bit lower budget than most every other Icon encounter where you're fighting the other dominates. Like it's this one's a little bit more reserved after like the opening sequence, and I could see people not liking the opening sequence because if you don't like some of the Phoenix stuff, like you might not like the opening Leviathan part because it's kind of the same type of mechanics. But then it shifts into like a normal, like, one-on-one Icon battle where you got to like deal with the mechanics. And yeah, I wonder on Final Fantasy mode how much more brutal it's going to be having to deal with that, because it does seem like it's probably the most challenging fight they have made. So if you care about that, it's definitely, for you. I think this and Omega probably satisfied people who are looking for more difficult combat. It's just, if there was only a way to get to that level in the base game before having to beat the game and unlock Final Fantasy mode, I think that is the compromise they didn't find in this game. And if they get another attempt, looking at what they did in the two DLCs, this is something they should probably strive for in their next project, having that feedback. I don't know if you agree with that, Huber. I know you didn't finish Rising Time, but I know you played Echoes of the Fallen.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you enjoyed Omega.
Omega was cool. I almost died.
Yeah. I mean,
So
even
it's
just
like,
the threat of
close.
it, it's like, it's like different,
This is a
right?
hurtful narrative to those of us who were bad at this game.
Yo, we all have games we're good at and games we're bad at. Like,
Yeah, call
It
me
is
up.
what it is.
Call me up when you're stuck in 10 minutes in and Lorelei and the laser
exactly. or like I've been saying, Rise of the Ronin. Like,
Yeah.
super hard.
Oh, I'm a proponent, Isla, of that. I thought I was okay. I knew it was like maybe on a slightly, like it was maybe a little too easy for my liking, but like it wasn't like, oh my god, is this so like painfully easy? Like I felt challenged even in the base game a few times. Like I thought it was relatively appropriate. Like I was like, maybe like a slightly harder difficulty than that at the beginning would have been like perfect for me. But like Final Fantasy mode out of the gate probably would have been a nightmare for me. I would have been like, oh hell no, like nope, this game's too hard. Where are all those Ring of Timely Assistance shit? Like I'm done with this. Like I just want to
my
get
main
this.
thing with the base difficulty is just just that issue of being over leveled.
Yeah.
To where it's like if I were at the level that this guy is, it would probably have been fine. But by the time I got to like the last fifth of the game, then it was like I'm like 10 levels above everybody.
Yeah.
So there's like, oh, here's enemies.
Yeah.
Boom, you're dead.
Yeah.
But I still felt like some of the hunts and stuff were pretty challenging for me.
Dynamic difficulty in Remake clearly is like trying to address this criticism.
yes.
But I still think they need to iron it out. And
You mean Rebirth? Yeah.
Rebirth, yeah.
Sorry. Huber, funny moment, or everyone here, funny moment. First time I got to the village, I tried to like jump over the bridge into the water, and I'm like, God damn it, this isn't Rebirth. I can't just I was like, okay, they gotta do, like, please, like, I hope for the PC version that's their big like new thing is like you could jump in water and swim. I'm like, please, it's like, come on, it's like such torture now after playing Rebirth. I was like, just let me jump anywhere. And which is the opposite problem. Like people want like a jump ability in Rebirth when you're on the ground. So it's like, oh man, just get these two teams together to talk, please, and like just hash it out and make like the perfect compromise for like their next game.
Damiani, please no spoilers, but yes or no, is the extra thing you get from beating both DLCs cool or not?
Wait, the extra thing.
They said if you beat both DLCs, you get some like epilogue shit.
I don't know about that. I do know the Kairos Gate, the roguelite thing. They said if you beat it on Final Fantasy mode, the 20 floors, all S ranks, you get a secret thing. I saw what it is. That is not worth it whatsoever. Okay. Most underwhelming secret boss thing I've ever seen. You can even call it. It's not a secret boss. It's not. It's something already in the game. It's not a secret boss. Like people were wildly blowing their expectations like out of proportion for it. It's not that. There is no new epilogue that I'm seeing for any of this. I know there's new side quests. They said
like if you beat both, you get access to like something. Is that the roguelite mode?
I think that's it. It's Kairos Gate. Kairos Gate is the new thing.
Cool.
Before I get to like the Kairos Gate thing, just real quick for like Rising Tide itself, I would say honestly, this is definitely geared at people who are already very into 16. If like you beat 16, you're like, I'm done, I'm good. This probably isn't one maybe worth coming back to. It's definitely got like, you know, some 14 pander in both of them for 14 fans who are also like playing 16. So it's definitely like, I don't think this DLC is necessarily like doing like a great job of like expanding the appeal, but it is including things I think were kind of criticized as being lacking, mainly difficulty and complexity of some of the like remedial fights, like mini boss fights, like just like upping the chaos level and speed a little bit. They said like they upped damage outside of battles for like, so regular enemies and feel like sponges. I guess it felt like they died a little bit faster. I mean, they were taking forever to kill in the base game. And it was kind of like, okay, seriously, can they die a little bit faster? So I don't know if this is like something like, if you've already checked out on 16, I don't know if this is something that's worth coming back to, honestly. But like, if you've like loved 16 and you just want a little bit more, I mean, I thought it was like good. Like for me, it was satisfactory, like more than satisfactory. I was like, this is what I was like expecting. This was pretty good. Yeah, and I wasn't looking for anything new narratively. Like I wasn't looking for some new ending or anything. I was like, I'm not really into this. I just want like to see these more insane fights, and I want to see them throw a little bit more at me.
I really like Echoes of the Fallen, but it definitely felt like an anime filler arc.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas
Story-wise,
Rising Tide 100% feels like a canon storyline.
Yes,
for sure.
It
The one thing
does.
that I like
Yeah.
the most about Echoes of the Fallen is just like when you get up on the top and you get that view, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is sick.
It was cool,
always
for
loved
sure.
Okay, there is
The way
a
the
good.
scale of everything, like next to the trees and stuff, you're like, wait, that's a full-size tree. That's
Please take a knee when you approach the cliff area, approaching that wave you've seen already in the base game. When you get close to it, just take a knee and go to the edges and just peek around, like do like a little panoramic scan.
Nice.
Like it is worth it to see like that scale of that thing in there. The roguelike thing, it's. I don't know. I really wish I want to hear. Maybe we could save it because Huber, I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Maybe because
Love it.
I think it's kind of bare bones.
Okay.
and but like it's just. I guess it's free. Do you need the Rising? I don't know if you need the Rising Tide DLC or if this was part of the patch update. If it's paid, it's probably not worth. Like it's not like a huge addition. I don't know. I did like 10 levels of it and on normal, and I'm like. It's like it's like okay. It's like nothing special. Yeah.
It's a very good time for Final Fantasy, Damiani. I'd say that just with, remake and 16 and DLC and 14 Dawn Trail, like it's out of control right now, man. It's Resident Evil style.
Do you believe them that they said there's not going to be any Rebirth DLC? Do you believe the developers, or do you like think like, no, we're getting Rebirth DLC in between?
It makes sense to me. It is funny to me though for this to come out like this close to Rebirth. I mean,
So awesome.
It feels quick,
Feels awesome.
very quick. But yeah, that's just because I haven't had time to play through Rebirth yet. So it's like, I uninstalled
more Final
16
Fantasy.
and I haven't got to really play Rebirth yet. So I guess I'm reinstalling 16 and then playing. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I think the interviews from the Ultimania that for Rebirth that just dropped, I think kind of reaffirmed they can't work on DLC because they're like struggling to figure out how to handle airships in Rebirth right now. They're like, we're trying to make satisfying airship gameplay, and it's like a struggle. And they said like they expect it to come out in 2027. So like we think 3 years is absolutely doable. Like they're fully committed to that. So I don't think there's like that's
2027.
Yeah, that's the 30th anniversary. That's 3 years. Rebirth took 4 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it could be
that's
like
the first time I've heard that out loud. So
I'm gonna help you out real quick, Huber, real quick. Next year, so we got all the stuff goodness this year already.
I still got the Pixar remasters to go through.
Next year we'll get Kingdom Hearts 4 next year, baby. 2025.
Yeah, dude. Keely's gonna drop that trailer.
2026
dude.
we'll get Dragon Quest 12. There you
Yup,
go.
there it
and
is.
then you'll get Rebirth remake part 3, and there you go. You'll be eating
Hey,
good.
don't forget we got that mana game this summer.
That's and all these other all their other
GTA
projects.
next year, so just let everything cook.
Yeah,
it's all
you're
good.
You're good, Huber.
Nice.
Very awesome. Final Fantasy, killing it.